Oh, come on, man. It's time for another Polymac Particle Night Flight. Creative Tony is in the house. He's in position. He's got his white lid on. He's ready to go. Creative Tony, real quick, as I say good evening to you. Good evening, y'all.
Good evening.
What are you rocking there? What is that? SC? What do you got going
This is another San Carlos Little League product, buddy. I'm just repping the SCLL. It's all about the kids, buddy. It's all about the kids, right?
You know, it's funny. I'm about to pull out a prop. I wasn't expecting to do this, but since you shouted out San Carlos Little League, I want to show our listeners, and by the way, I love y'all. Miguel, Johnny Red, happy hemp day to you, my friend. And Don Peralta, you can't be stopped, dude. You're a force of freaking nature.
By the way, that's a tease, Paulie. That's a tease because Don Peralta, I got your emails, I got your stuff. We're gonna drop some of it later on the show.
Oh, Dom, I just took a look at some of your artwork, bro. I'm blown away. Rags is in the house reporting for duty, sir. Sir, yes, sir. Rags, great to see you. Rags is now. I want everybody to know too on the comments line. Now, Rags is making a serious effort to be a part of these shows. This kid's checking in from Florham Park, New Jersey, which is the home of New York Jets football. I don't know if you knew that, Creative Tony. Rags lives in the town where the Jets have their headquarters. So,
nice. I did not know that. No,
I don't know if it is nice though. Is it nice? Do you really want Aaron Rodgers that close?
You want Rags hanging out with Rodgers? That's what I want to know.
I have already put in a special request with Rags that he is instructed to give him a backhand smack to the lips if he ever comes across Aaron Rodgers out in the general public, which I doubt he will, because Rodgers, you see, this is one of the. That's about 3 too many. Stop! You got to stop. You got to stop.
Sorry.
Make it stop, man. Make it stop.
That was your Aaron Rodgers groan for I just gave you a groan for a month right there.
God, that guy's just a buzzkill. So here's my prop of the night, Creative Tony. I bet you didn't expect to see this, but here it is. What do you want? An SI batting helmet? I got one.
There you go.
Sure. Double ear flap.
I love it, dude. I love that. That's going way back, man. That is going way back.
The only reason I have this is thanks to you, Creative Tony. When my kids were little, they were they hadn't even started Little League yet, but they wanted the gear. They're like, Dad, get me a helmet. Dad, get me the chest protector. I'm like, whoa. Why don't we wait till we get to Little League? And then Creative Tony came over and gifted my kids the SI batting helmet. And then, of course, there were many fights over who gets to wear it. I want that one. So they were fighting over SI. But I got props, Tony. I got props, too, if I need to break them out. I'm not going to be outdone by your San Carlos Little League hat, even though it is a fresh lid. Good to see you. Now, a couple of quick housekeeping items. We got a very special guest coming up tonight, and we're going to get into that in just a second. But first, a word about our great sponsors at Longbridge Pizza, 3rd Street, San Francisco. Be there or be a square. In fact, I'll give you the street address, 2347 3rd Street in San Francisco. In fact, if I may reveal all of the secrets that go on behind the scenes in the Polymac Particle community, Creative Tony and I had another field trip today. I told you guys last night it was a chicken parmesan Wednesday, and I wasn't going to miss it, and I didn't. We drove into Long Beach, and Longbridge, excuse me. We sat down with Neil again, who might be one of the coolest dudes in San Francisco. Dude. After multiple hangs with the guy, I'm starting to see that South San Francisco charm come to the surface. He's a South City boy, and he shows it, man. He's all about hospitality, great food, and treating you like family. Like he wants to give you
like family, And dude, their motto, laid back vibe, serious pizza. The laid back vibe is all Neil. That he is so laid back and so chill. And to get into Longbridge Pizza, you guys, we had a pizza today called the Nico.
Oh, named after his son. Speaking of family, the pizza is named
his son.
Yeah.
Dude, sausage, red onion, bell pepper, red peppers. I mean, phenomenal.
Don't forget the secret weapon. The secret weapon of the Nico pie, which I highly recommend, by the way. I still have 2 more slices in my fridge right now. Little post-show celebration coming up in just a bit. But the secret ingredient of the Nico pizza, Tony's right on the money. Sausage, onion, pepper, and smoked mozzarella cheese. Smoked, not the regular. Coming at you with the smoke now. Little extra flavor there, and he's all about the flavor. Yeah.
And don't forget about there's a secret menu, dude. You've heard about In-N-Out has their secret menu, dude. Longbridge Pizza has a secret menu. Dude, don't sleep on the chopped cheese. If you roll up to the counter and say, I want a chopped cheese, you're gonna get more than you asked for. You're gonna get more than you bargained for, and you're gonna love every freaking bite.
No, this is not a drill. Creative Tone. This is like Code Red serious because he's not kidding. Totally. So the chopped cheese is kind of like the Longbridge Pizza version of a Philly cheesesteak. Only thing is, Tony, I think it might be better. I think it might be better than a real Philly cheesesteak. First of all, it's not greasy and soggy because one of those things in Philly, it's like soaking wet with grease. It's kind of a turnoff. That's not happening with the chop. This is not happening with the chopped cheese sangy because he's giving you, it's like ground beef with the cheese and the peppers, and the flavor is incredible. So yeah, nice call on the secret menu. Try it out when you get down to Longbridge Pizza. Visit the menu online, longbridgepizza.com. And don't forget, on Friday, when you're heading out to Chase Center for the Dubs game, do stop by. Tony, I want to report real quick, and then we're going to move on. But what was the time? We're going to hold you accountable now. You better get out your freaking notes. You better.
I have it right here.
Tony took the train. I drove in. So now I want to know the walking distance from the train station to Longbridge. Tony, go.
Can you see the timer right there?
7 minutes, 7 minutes and 3 seconds. Okay.
7 minutes and 3 seconds. That's my timer from 22nd Street Caltrain to Longbridge Pizza. And I did not walk gingerly. I took my time. And you walk through the dog patch neighborhood, 7 minutes and 3 seconds. It's perfect. It's a great situation. It's a great setup. Hey, dude, if you're watching if you're at the Dubs game right now and you happen to be just tuned into Paulie Mac Particles from your seat at Chase Center,
I hope that's the case too. It's in your best interest to listen at Warrior games. Obviously, you don't want to miss a second. But Tony, go ahead.
No, but go to Longbridge, man, for pre and post game, or if you just want to watch games, man, because we're hoping to do some, I don't know, some hangouts there down the road, man. We got some plans, and there's an anniversary for Longbridge coming up in the middle of the month too. We got
stuff up our collective sleeves. There's no question. We'll be on.
Dude, and Bill Kreutzmann, the drummer, one of the drummers for the Grateful Dead, has hung out at Longbridge Pizza. I don't even know if you need more street cred than that.
No, and he was a repeat offender. Apparently, Billy Kreutzmann walked in there like 3-4 different occasions. And here's the best part: in true Grateful Dead fashion, like let me see if I can demonstrate this. Like somebody gives you a pizza. Let's say this is the box. You generally hold the box like this, so the pizza's nice and flat. So Neil was telling us a story. Billy comes in, grabs the pizza, and then tucks it under his arm like a school book. You know what I mean? Like he's on his school. So now the whole pie's like going to go falling over to one side. That's Billy. Billy's operating in his own universe. He's got his own rules, and I back him. I got Billy K's back from now until the end of time. So Longbridge Pizza, thank you guys so much for being our first and valued sponsor. Yeah, these are great people, and they're going to take care of you when you get in there. So do stop by.
And Paulie, only because it was requested on the comment line, I just got to give us a couple of shots real quick. Here we go.
2 slices.
Man.
2 slices.
Thank you.
And put some extra mozzarella on that.
All right. And then more.
It's my pizzeria.
Danny Aiello in the house. Rest in peace. By the way, I hate to say this. Rest in peace, Danny Aiello, and rest in peace, Radio Raheem. They've both left us, which is very sad.
Yeah.
I was a big Radio Raheem guy. He was actually a really good actor. And Danny Aiello, we know his resume. Now, Tony, sports matters of the evening. Your Golden State Warriors, they're right down the street from Longbridge Pizza right now, and they're tangling with what might be the best team in the NBA. It's the Oklahoma City Thunder with their gaudy 37-8 record. They got an 11-point lead over the Dubs right now. Excuse me. Yeah, it's an 11-point lead. 5.5 left in the second quarter. I'm watching the Dubs, and clearly it's kind of starting to bum me out. You can see they're not in the class. They're not in the class of OKC, at least not yet. Steph Curry is playing tonight. Draymond's still out. The starters.
Dude, Curry's playing tonight, but he only has 4 points. And
he looks. Yeah, well, it's been tough for Steph to get good looks lately. Teams are, they focus on him, and it's really difficult. You're starting to hear, more and more of the drums beating for Jimmy Butler. I heard it today. I also heard it for Zach LaVine. There's some talk out there that LaVine might be a good fit. Both of these guys would do a great service in helping Steph as a alternative scorer. They desperately need that. And Buddy Hield has been slumping.
So I have a question for you, Paulie. This is not part of Tony's top 3, which will come later. And by the way, we have a very, very special guest coming up at 8:30. We're going to quote unquote drop the hammer.
No secrets here. Let's reveal it right now. So you know who we're going to have coming on at 8:30? Our old program director and good friend, Lee Hammer. It's Hammer time for me, you, and everybody in the comments line, everybody watching tonight. And this guy, Lee Hammer's a great dude.
Yes, he is.
He sat in that program. Guy. He sat in that program director chair during one of KMBR's most successful periods of all time. Maybe the most successful, frankly. So anyway, I haven't talked to Hammer in a while, so I'm looking forward to catching up with Hammer. We'll get to that.
Dude, Hammer's the one that brought me back into the mix as creative director at KMBR in 2009. So I owe a ton to Hammer. And by the way, I want to tell him, hey, because Hammer used to drop by my studio and just literally open the door, rip off 2 jokes, and then leave. He wouldn't even ask about my day, wouldn't ask about any work projects I was doing. He would just rip 2 jokes and leave. And they were very, not suitable for kids. And I'm wondering if Lee is going to just drop a couple of jokes on us tonight, because he knows that, the rules are there ain't no rules on Polymax Particles, right?
Well, that's exactly right. No, Hammer's free to do and say whatever he likes.
Yep.
Quick question for you, Tony. Candlestick Kid on the comments line saying the Warriors need to trade for De'Aaron Fox. Very interesting idea. Haven't heard that really getting kicked around in NBA circles, but it's an interesting idea. What would you have to give up? That whole conversation comes up again. If I were to offer you one of those three, De'Aaron Fox, Butler, or Levine, Creative Tony, you get to pull the lever. Who would you take and why?
Fox all day. Fox. I love Fox. I mean, if you have a backcourt of Curry and Fox, oh man. And then, I don't know what you'd have to like give up to get Fox, but probably I know Wiggins is a hot commodity too. And I do love Wiggins, man. There's just something about Wiggins that I just enjoy. Like his whole demeanor, he's not, you know what I mean?
He's
like
a chill dude. He's a chill dude.
Yeah, he seems like a chill guy, and I would hate to see him go, but he might have to go. Or there's talk about the Kuminga. People love Kuminga, and they'd love to get a piece of Kuminga. So I don't know, but bringing De'Aaron Fox to the Dubs, I mean, I don't know, just as a quick trip down I-80, I'm down.
Only because you said Fox like 10 times in a row there. You're like, I like Fox. I'm a Fox fan. Fox is good. Fox can shoot. I started thinking about other great Foxes that need to be acknowledged. First one, maybe at the top of the list, shout out Andrea Fox, our old promotions director in the building. She's one of the good ones. And her dad, this is my favorite trivia of all time. Our promotions director at the old station, Andrea Fox, her dad was the drummer in the James Gang, for Christ's sake, with Joe Walsh. Funk 49, all that stuff. That's Andrea's dad playing drums. It's insane. And she drops that so casually. Oh, yeah, no, my dad knows Joe Walsh. Yeah, it's no big deal. I'm like, dude, that's freaking amazing. So anyway, Andrea Fox and another great Foxes. I'll shout out Fox on the Run by Sweet. Good 70s glam rock tune. Creative Tony.
Can I give you a Samantha Fox?
What do you mean? What is that? Naughty Girls Need Love Too? Is that what we're talking about?
Exactly.
Well, you don't think well, you don't think I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. By the way, since you brought her
Rick
up,
Fox, we can go. Go ahead.
No. Finish on Rick Fox with the curls.
I just said Rick Fox just literally popped into my head just right now, so I thought.
Are you aware of the fact as kind of a perimeter? You're out on the fringes, but you're sort of like a member of the Kiss Army. You got one foot in the Army, you got one foot outside the Army, but you're out there. Like I know you've seen the band. Are you aware of the fact, as a blossoming Paul Stanley fan that you are, and Creative Tony's a big Paul Stanley fan. He's always encouraging me, dude. You got to look at Paul Stanley's Twitter. He's making a pizza today, stuff like that.
Follow Twitter.
Did you know that Paul Stanley dated Samantha Fox in the 80s, like at the peak of her fame? Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
Well, Paul. Get the job done. Yeah.
I gotta say, Paul Stanley, and I want to get to Neil Donardi's comment here because this is a great question for the show. But Paul Stanley made me feel comfortable about my chest hair. You know what I mean?
He's liberated all hairy chest guys.
He's
probably shirtless right now. Right now, he's probably shirtless, walking around his house. Hi, I'm Paul Stanley from Kiss. Look at my chest. You know what I mean?
He's like early 70s.
Oh, you don't give a damn.
Still ripped.
Yeah.
But the way he let his chest hair fly back in the day, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna rock it like Paul Stanley rocks it. I'm gonna be proud of it because I'm Italian. I've got the Italian genes. I've got a sweater in my chest. What am I gonna say? What do you want me to say?
I got to tell you, I've been working on a Paul Stanley voice for years. It's nice. Almost impossible to master. I'll give you a shot. I'm just going to give you a quick taste, and I'm going to get out because I can't do it that well. But it's kind of like you got to almost lisp a little bit, and you got to say like, "Hi, it's Paul Stanley from Kiss. This is the hottest band in the world." Because that's kind of his speaking voice. The great thing about being in Kiss is I get to live out my rock and roll fantasies. Like he's that's Paul Stanley. Off stage, when he's on stage, he's screaming his lungs out. All right, Tony, I got an NBA thing I got to ask you real quick.
I got to ask you. No, look at this. This is Neil just throwing it out there, and I mean it's a fair question, dude.
I'm not doing that. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up Steph Curry under any circumstance. That's a guy that needs to retire as a Golden State Warrior. After watching Joe Montana get away, Jerry Rice get away, Will Clark, like we've seen it too many times. Even Klay Thompson. Like I want Steph. Right. Steph is in his own category. Like he is such Bay Area royalty. No, I would not. I would not give up Curry for Fox, and that's just me because I want Steph to retire a Warrior. He's ours, and I ain't letting him get away. You know what I mean?
No, I agree with you. Although I do love Fox, and I feel like Fox idolizes
again with the
Curry.
Fox. Yeah,
No, but I feel like he idolizes Curry. Like I feel like he tries to, play the same way as Curry. And if you watch Fox in those series against the Dubs, he's also like a chill leader like Curry.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
he is. Yeah.
And so, I mean, I see where the suggestion is coming from, Neil. But I to get rid of Curry, I mean, that would be God, that would really be tough. That'd be really be tough, dude.
No, I'm not going to not on my watch. I can't let that happen. By the way, we touch a nerve with Paul Stanley. Rag says, put the X in sex. Rags, I'll do it for you if I have to. Bam. You got to put the X in sex. That was the move in the video. Let's put the X in sex. And he's giving you the X. Good one. And Dub City. What did Dub City say?
Yeah, right here. I'll get it for you. Paul Stanley in the movie Decline of Western Civilization, surrounded by women.
I've decided to live this way. There's no reason you can't live this way. Yeah, he's lying in bed. He's got like all these women in lingerie. There's like a dozen of them, dude, lying in bed. And he's like, this is just another day in the life of Paul Stanley from Kiss.
Dude, also, I gotta throw this up real quick because we talked about Bill Kreutzmann going into Longbridge Pizza. I just gotta throw up this quote from this comment from Andrew. Dude, Andrew, look at this. Billy was holding the pizza under his arm, like you said, Paulie, dog on the leash, and started to light up a J.
Pretty good analogy, pretty good interpretation of what probably happened. Andrew, you're all over it. Yes, Neil Donardi, Curry is a made man. That's exactly what I'm saying. Mount Foxmore continues. Dom comes in with don't forget Foxy Lady. Rags coming in over to the top. Don't forget Michael J. Fox. And I'm sure we're forgetting. There's probably more, and we'll get to them in due time. But I got one NBA nugget I got to drop on your lap because I saw this afternoon, and I'm like, you know what? You guys got to be freaking kidding me with this.
Yeah,
Adam Silver. Okay, your guy, the commissioner, weighs about 97 pounds. He's got his glasses on. He's rolling out here, and he's rolling out new, like, radical concepts. You ready for what he says? Let me get the exact quote here. You're gonna love it.
I think I know where you're going, dude. I think I know where you're going.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver is a, quote, fan of 10-minute quarters in the NBA. Let me just run through this real quick.
I thought you were going to say he's a fan of Polymax particles.
Well, let's assume that he is, and he's welcome on the show anytime, and I'll debate him on this very topic. Now, the NBA, Creative Tony, has been in existence for 78 years. Okay, they've been
hold on a second though. Time out though. It's not like the NBA games are marathon. They're not. There's nothing wrong with the length of an NBA game.
Well, let me give you a couple of quotes from your NBA commissioner because he feels it is too long. Listen to this.
What's the rush, Paulie? Everybody's in such a freaking rush now.
He's going to explain it to you, and it made my blood boil. Here we go. Adam Silver, quote, as we get more involved in global basketball, the NBA is the only league that plays 48 minutes. Ooh. And I would be, and I am, a fan of 4 10-minute quarters. He goes on, quote, I think of a television program being 2 hours long. Olympic basketball is 2 hours long. College basketball is only 40 minutes long. So he's laying down a foundation like a case here to basically shorten NBA games by 8 minutes. Now think about this. All of us, this is me, this is you, this is everybody in the comments. We're the customers, right? We're the fans.
Right.
So luckily for us, we'll get to pay the same ticket prices, if not more expensive.
Totally.
Same prices for beer and food and parking and all the swag at the memorabilia shop. Only I'll give you less product. Okay. I'm going to give you less product, but you just keep giving me all your money. Like, dude, I'm calling BS on this like 1,000,000%. And then how do you debate all the records in the NBA? Okay. Now guys are going to be like, well, we didn't have as much time as Michael Jordan. My record, it's going to be, I'm telling you, this thing is going to throw the NBA into disarray. I hate it. If these guys can't play, I mean, what are we talking about? 2 minutes a quarter? That's too much. I think Adam Silver is off the mark here in a big way, man.
And I'm sure people are saying, well, the MLB did the pitch clock, and MLB games, it was a problem with the length of MLB games. I'll admit it was a problem, and they were long, man, and
too long.
As much as I hate, if I had to choose, I would rather not have a pitch clock, and I'd rather not do that stupid runner on second base in the extra innings.
That thing sucks. Nobody needs it. Yeah,
but I get it. This makes no sense to me, and I'm tired of catering to, well, everything needs to be shorter.
I know why, dude. I want to get I go to a game to get away from the crazy fast pace of the world. Let me enjoy a ball game at my own pace.
What's wrong with getting taken away for a few hours to escape? Right? What's the rush? What are you trying to rush to get back to? Like, what do you know what I mean?
I want to rush to get home. I got it. Why are you in a rush to get home? No, I just need to get home so I can get yelled at some more. You know what I mean? I got to rush home. I'm in trouble. I feel like I'm missing out on valuable yelling time. Yeah.
That reminds me of Glenn Close. Like, I'm not going to be ignored.
I'm not going to be ignored. By the way, shout out Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction off her freaking rocker.
Out of her mind.
Sitting in an empty apartment, just flicking the light on and off. There's no dialogue in that scene. She's just turning the light on and off, sitting there looking nuts. Remember that scene? I got nervous. I'm like, I think I got to get out of here. And I saw that like a jackass in the theater with my girlfriend at the time. Imagine, like, it shows you the brains of a young Paulie. Hey, let's go see Fatal Attraction. That'll be fun.
That's a ballsy move, dude. Yeah, I mean, all I got to say is rabbit stew. All you got to say is rabbit stew.
You got your rabbit stew going. Yeah.
I wanted to give Mark Graves some love here because he's right. Okay, yeah. Shorten the game to 40 minutes when players take games off. Load management, all that crap. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, man. And the amount of money that these players are making, and you're also gonna pay them the same to do less. Like,
no, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I want to demand more money for less work. It makes sense, right? A couple of other comments here, real quick, dude. Johnny Red. David Stern is no, bro. I know, the worst possible date movie of all time. It was a big mistake on my part. You live and learn. Dom Peralta again having a big night out here. He's hot. He's got a hot shooting hit. He goes, tell me Adam Silver isn't a dead ringer for Nosferatu. You know what, dude? Let's give him some of those pointy fingernails. I see it. He looks like he's out here looking for a victim. And does he sleep in a coffin? I want some proof because I need to see some documentation. I really do.
But I just don't. Again, back to the point, Paulie.
Yeah.
You drive from wherever you live to whatever arena you go to. You pay for parking. You pay for booze and food, and you go early to see shoot around.
Dad, get me a Curry jersey. Dad, get me I want some popcorn. Yeah.
My point is though. And this has happened to me at Giants games. I go to a Giants game, like, I can't take a piss right now because I might miss a whole inning. You know what I mean? Like, because of the pitch clock. And so I'm wondering, you do all this effort, you make all this effort to go to these different venues, and all of a sudden you're going to give me less? You're going to give me less.
That's what I'm saying. That's my argument.
I mean,
ticket prices will probably go up next year, and they want to give you less product. I don't think I'm signing up for that.
I don't get this mindset, man. If anything, give me more.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, give me more, man.
I mean, that's hey, the NFL for the NFL's king and everything, but you're going to get a good 3-hour game. You're going to get a good 3-hour hang at whatever stadium you go to, unless you leave early because traffic. That's another thing, dude. Like, why pay the prices that you pay and then leave a game early? Can somebody explain that to me? I've never explained it.
I can, because I had to do that a few times, and I'll tell you what my excuse was, dude, because I'd be at a game with my kid. It's like the fourth quarter. The Warriors were up by 27 points, and I'm like, looking at my watch, and I'm like, you do realize I got to get up in about 4 hours. You know what I mean? Like, I got a show in 4 hours. So there were times I had to duck out with the Warriors with these massive leads when they were really good. But generally speaking, I'm with you 1,000,000%. It's not something.
Hold on, it's Rags, and this is going way back in time, but Calgon. Take me away, dude. Yes.
Rags and Dom are going to be competing for pole position tonight. I want to say also.
Go ahead. I
want to just that the NFL is like the exact opposite of the NBA. They're like, not only are we not going to take anything away from you, hell, I'm going to make these guys play another game. Now you're playing 17 games, and they want to take it to 18, dude. I don't know if the human body can withstand 18 Sundays of NFL football. It probably can't. What they would do is they would put the preseason, they would eliminate that to make that 2 games, and then you'd play an 18-game season. That's an awful lot of football, Tony, 18 games. And then potentially, if you're a wild card team, 3 more games.
Right.
That's a big ask for the human body. You know.
Oh, by the way, we care about your safety. We care about your well-being, but hey, play another game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I know. Like, it's not funny either. It's terrible.
The irony is so thick, dude. And NorCal refrigeration and HVAC, yes, that right there, that alone. If you're going to pay $60 for parking, you better damn well stay for the game. I mean, and if you're going to you're going to pay $60 at Chase Center. You know, first of all, go 4 blocks south and park near Longbridge Pizza. There's a lot of parking in the dog patch, and walk whatever it is, the 4 blocks. Get a beer, get a pizza pie at Longbridge Pizza, and go see some Warriors basketball and not pay the $60 in parking. But my point is, if you're going to pay that money, don't shorten the experience.
Yeah,
like, that just blows my mind, man. So now you got my blood boiling. I did not see this coming tonight, Paulie.
No, I'm not looking for harsh feelings. I'm looking to get away from all that here. So let's try to cool the temperature down a little bit. Do you want to
cool it now?
You got to cool it now. Do you want to sneak in a quick Tony's top 3 before the hammer comes?
Watch out. Before we bring in Lee Hammer, before we drop the hammer.
The one and only.
We could do that. Yeah, we
All
could do
give me
that.
some top 3. Give me some, and then we'll get into Lee Hammer. Yeah.
Okay, stand by.
Tony's top 3. Correct.
I want to do this too.
Tony's top.
This might play an extra time. Look at this. Come on.
Tony's top 3.
I mean, is that? Come on, that is phenomenal. That's Dom Peralta right there. Thank you, Dom. What you're looking at right there. It's just.
Oh man.
We got options too. He gave me options, dude. Look at this. Come on,
dude. That looks like a cannabis strain label. It really does. Doesn't it look like something you would see in a dispensary, like Tony's Top Sativa or something? That looks
maybe.
And by the way,
maybe
it looks like a company I would buy something from too.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
it really
thank
does.
you, Dom. I thank you, and also Dub City. I still need to get to that audio because we do want to. I want to freshen up that audio that he sent me of us doing radio back in 1998 and 99 with Rod Brooks doing the mornings and on the Ticket 1050. It's fantastic audio. We'll play it at some point during the show. So thank you guys for sending us that stuff. Hey,
yes.
Paulie's pod at gmail.com. If any of you want to send us an email with any suggestions and you want to throw our way for the show, please send it our way. Paulie's pod at gmail.com. Little housekeeping too quick, Paulie. Search Polymac Particles on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeart if you want to just get the audio version. Like my friend Mark Wiseman, who teaches high school, and he can't, watch the show at times.
He doesn't want to look at my Meat Locker shirt. Is that what you're saying?
The Meat Locker shirt, and there's a whole story that you might have to get into at the end of the show.
Pies. It's a very complex story, but we'll get into it. Yeah.
At the end of the show, when we'll talk about the Meat Locker from Longbridge, and also just subscribe if you've subscribed already. Thank you. Yeah. And if you haven't, please do at Polymax Particles on YouTube and tell a friend. Right?
I thought you were going to say if you subscribe again. Do it twice. It's so much fun. You want to do it 2-3 times. Creative Tony. So I've seen the new graphics. Thank you, Dom. I've seen the sounder. I've heard the sounder rather. So
but you know what we got to do, Paulie? We got to feed the ducks, buddy. We got to feed the ducks.
Wait,
okay.
No.
And by the way, happy belated birthday to Marcel. It was Marcel's birthday last night. On the way out, he said, "Hey, can I get a little birthday love, dude?" Marcel. Let's give you your just dues now, your birthday. I hope you had a great day yesterday and great night last night. Hey, man, every trip around the sun should be celebrated, right?
Why not?
You never know. You just never know. That's why we're all here hanging out, having a good time. So feed the ducks. Happy birthday, Marcel. Tony's top 3, question number 1. Are you ready, Paulie?
Totally. I got my pen and everything. I bought my pencil. I'm ready.
I got my pencil.
Right on, man. Yeah.
Dude. So it's 58-48 at halftime right now. Dubs are down by 10.
Tony. Yeah.
At home at Chase Center against OKC, the best team in basketball, 37-8. Okay. So when the Dubs play a team like OKC, the elite of the NBA.
Yeah.
Right. Do you feel like the Warriors are still a playoff team when you see them play against a team like OKC this season?
That's a great question. Boy, I mean, I'll tell you what. I'm going to modify my answer because I'm going to be totally honest with you and use a word that I hate. You know the way you hate that word pivot? Hey, everybody, we're going to pivot to a new thing. I don't like pivot either. But you know what I hate more than pivot? And everybody says this now out in corporate America. Let me be transparent with you, Paulie Mac. I'm going to be totally transparent. You know what? Next guy who says I'm going to be transparent is going to get like an angry phone call from Rags. Yes, Tony.
Dude, pause on that. That's the same thing that bothers me. Is like, to be perfectly honest, and I'm like, well, hold on a second.
Yeah, what do you mean? You're generally not. You're generally full of S. Yeah. What are we doing here?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, okay. What do you mean? What do you mean you're going to be perfectly honest? By the way, we have the hammer in the waiting room, so we're going to get through this top 3 quickly. And I want to show Logan as F real quick. The quick comment: Marcel took some edibles 2 hours ago for your birthday, Logan. Great job.
Happy birthday, Marcel. Logan, you're the man. So I would answer you like this. Based on what I saw tonight before I came on the Polymac Particle show, no, they did not look like a very capable playoff team. I did see they've narrowed the gap, and I would say the one kind of caveat to that is Draymond Green's not playing. And when Draymond Green is on the floor, it's a different team. It really is. So my answer might be different when Draymond comes back and we take a look. Because I do like what I'm seeing from Quentin Post. Guy Santos has been a nice little shot in the arm. So they have the potential to be a playoff team, and I certainly hope that they are, but it is not going to be easy. I'll tell you that.
I also got to sing the "Say It to Me, Santos," which is the song by Fish. Who has a song with Santos in it? I got to celebrate that.
They would be the only ones, yeah.
And Quentin Post in the starting lineup tonight for the Dubs, by the way.
Yeah,
that was cool to see. I was happy for him. Number 2 in Tony's top 3, real quick.
Okay, real quick.
Bob Saleh, your guy, Robert Saleh, back as D coordinator of the Niners. Is there anybody you want to see him bring back into the mix or bring into the mix?
Yes.
I know we're a long ways away, but come on.
No, I have an answer right now for you, and it's already being talked about a little bit. It's already somebody who's in the building, but might get away if they don't handle this the right way. That's Dre Greenlaw. I want Dre Greenlaw back. I want him coached by Saleh. I want him alongside Fred Warner. When those two guys are playing together, they might be the best linebacker tandem in the NFL. Now everybody's going to be Paulie Mack, he blew out his Achilles. I know he blew out his Achilles. It sucked. Had a lot to do with why we had such a hard time in that Super Bowl last year defensively. But I want to see what he's got left, T. So that's my answer. I want Greenlaw back. Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. I would love to have Greenlaw back too, because that one game when he was playing that first half, that game he played, the difference
flying around. You look at Dre Greenlaw.
Immediate. It was immediate. And the ripple effect of having him around was immediate.
Lifted the entire defense. It really did.
Well, as they say, Paulie, a rising tide lifts all boats, right?
Right. And I also don't want to keep Hammer waiting, so let's speed through this last one.
Number three. By the way, I see Hammer, but you're going to love his backdrop. You're going to love everything.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Okay. Come on. Let's go.
Number 3 in the top 3.
Yeah.
I just need to know, Paulie, because I've had this heated battle. I coach baseball with all these coaches that love Coors Light. They love light beer. I'm just not a light beer fan. Like, I think about the beers at Longbridge Pizza or like the beer craze that we've been living in for the last 10 years. And then if I had to choose a light beer, I know what I would choose. I just need to know what you would choose for a light beer, because I cannot do the CLs, bro.
The what?
CLs. That's what they're referred to oftentimes. Coors Light.
See, I'm glad I'm not hip to that. I don't even want to know what that means. I don't like the sound of it. I don't like the way you looked when you said it. So I would have my favorite light beer. This is a no contest for me. I'm a big, and I have been now for some time, I'm a Michelob Ultra head. Okay. You heard me. Michelob Ultra head. Try it out for yourself. It's very refreshing. And by the way, honorable mention. Yeah. I got to shout out Miller Lite, and I'll tell you why.
There you go.
If you got to watch Do the Right Thing, first of all, Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. Shout out Radio Raheem again, second time tonight. Those three dudes are sitting out on the corner. They got that umbrella. It's hot as hell, and they're just sitting there talking S about everybody that walks by, the three old dudes. And the one guy, the like kind of leader of that crew, his name is, I'm just telling the character's name. His name in the movie is Sweet Dick Willie. And he's like, he talks about himself in the third person. He goes, Sweet Dick Willie needs a beer. Sweet Dick Willie. And Sweet Dick Willie walks into the convenience store, and he walks out with a tall Miller Lite with a bag on it. And I'm like, damn, that looks good. That looks very refreshing. So shout out Sweet Dick Willie from Do the Right Thing. And he was a Miller Lite man. So I just wanted to give him respect, T.
Okay, and I'm just going to do this real quick before we let Hammer in, because you said Miller Lite tastes great, less filling. Tastes great, less filling.
Greatest ads of all time, right there.
Look at those two. Look at Uke and look at Madden, dude. Come on. I might get worked up, but I don't get filled up, says John Madden. And Uke says, great ball players drink light because it's less filling. I know. I asked one. Oh, God. Dude, come on.
The great Bob Uecker. You know who's probably got some Bob Uecker stories, honest to God, is our next guest, Lee Hammer.
Actually, that's a great call. That's a great call.
Let's bring him in. We'll go right to the source here. So this is our former program director, our great friend. He was our fearless leader at KMBR through some of the greatest years in that station's history. It's been a while since I've laid eyes on him, and I've missed him on a daily basis. So let's bring him on to Paulie Max Particles. Here he is. I can't see him, T. Where is he? I don't have There he is. Hammer time.
What's happening, boys? How are you?
Oh, so great to see you.
So you talk about particles. I don't know why the background is so goofy. You talk about particles. Paulie, I was actually talking about you this morning.
Okay.
No way.
This is
nice.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So the background you see behind me is Harding Park.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Since you and I both decided to part ways with our former radio station.
Yes.
Just for fun, I took on a part-time job I love golf, as you know. I'm acting as a starter and a marshal at Harding Park Golf Course.
Dude,
Nice.
That's awesome.
I'm surprised Tony hasn't hit me up for some free rounds yet.
Well, he will now. I'm sure he will now.
Anyway, I'm probably one of the elder statesmen there, and I don't know why I'm trying to get rid of this thing over my
Oh,
shoulder.
don't worry about it, Hammer. Don't worry about it. You look great.
I'm the older statesman there. There's some younger people there, and today I don't know how the conversation started, but I brought up. So you remember, Jerry Garcia?
Hell yeah.
These young kids look at me and they go, "Who?" I said, "Jerry Garcia. The Grateful Dead," and they go,
"Yeah,
what?" And I realized I'm done.
Yes, no, it's time to tap out. Right,
Look, you know how much I know about music. It's probably like this much fair. Yeah. I know Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead, but when these kids tell me they don't know who Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead is, I'm thinking, get out of here.
Yeah, no, and especially in San Francisco, that's almost blasphemous.
How do you not?
It's one of the great San Franciscans. Now, I got a funny Harding Park story for you, Hammer, only because, and Tony, I think you know this one, but do you remember the year, Hammer, you sent Murph and I out to Harding Park? I think because it was like the U.S. Open, wasn't it?
Right.
That came to town?
I think the PG. Yeah, right.
True story. Check this out. So that day, the day before our first show at Harding Park, Tony Drutzy, our old sales manager, another guy who went on to greener pastures, he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, Paulie Mac, I got 2 great seats for the Giants game tonight. They're yours." And I took the seats and I was like, "Oh, these are sweet tickets. This is going to be great." But the problem was we had a super duper early wake up call to drive out to Harding and get situated. Like, it takes time to check in to those places. So I gave the tickets away. Okay. Gave the tickets away. Hammer. Guess what happened that night? Matt Cain's perfect game. Matt Cain's perfect game. I had tickets in my hand, willingly gave them away, and I'm sitting at home. I almost put a gun to my head. I'm like, this is unbelievable, because I've always wanted to see a no-hitter in person, and a perfect game is something you don't even really think about. It's so rare. It's not like, hey, I hope I get a perfect game tonight, but I blew my opportunity, and I blew my opportunity for Harding Park, Hammer. I wanted to give you the best show possible.
It was June 13th, and I remember the day because it was my wife's birthday. My wife Wanda. We were out to dinner, and my stepson Reed lives in San Francisco. So we get done with dinner. It's a great story. We get done with dinner.
Yeah.
And Reed starts driving back to San Francisco with his kids. And I call him and I say, "Hey, Reed, are you listening to the game on KNBR?" At that time, greatest sports station in the country. And he says, "Yes." I go, it's a perfect game going on. He goes, "That's great." He goes, "If it gets any better, I'm going to go by the ballpark." I said, "Reed, here's what you do, okay? If it gets there, I want you to go where the Giants dugout is and go over there and tell them you're with KNBR.
Nice.
Tell them I sent you down there.
Nice.
You have to go and get some audio. Okay?
Yeah.
They'll let you in. Just mention my name and they'll let you in." He says, "Great." So 8th inning, he goes by the Giants dugout store there, and he gives me a call and says, "I tried it. It's not working."
Right.
So I luckily call another friend of mine who happened to be near the Giants dugout store where the media gate was. And I told him, "Hey, my stepson's there. He wants to get in and watch this." He let him in. Reed went up to our suite, and he got to see the top of the 9th inning and got to see the perfect game.
Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible. Hey, by the way, Lee, we got a ton of commenters, and they're all saying the same thing. They're saying Lee Hammer says no.
Over and over. Now, Hammer, just so you know, if you go to your screen, I think it's on the right-hand side. If you see the column where it says comments, if you click that, you should have visibility on all the people watching, because there's that's our version of phone calls now, Hammer. They're commenters. Yeah, so they all participate in the show this way. In fact, since we have Lee, and Lee was our program director when KNBR was having its last golden age. I mean, we had great success. The Giants were successful. Harbaugh came to town. Everybody was just killing it. I can
go on and talk about the ratings we had and how they will never match what we had in those years.
Hammer, you called Murph
in the last 5 years that I was there as program director. KNBR was so that's in 5 years, that's 20 ratings periods. It's actually 21. We did 21. KNBR was number 1 14 times and number 2 5 times. So number 1 or number 2, 19 out of 21 times.
Yeah.
It's those numbers will never be matched. It's because of Paulie, it's because of you, it's because of Murph. It's a little bit because of Tony, not much. But a little bit
right, he was in the mix. Yeah.
A little bit, but those were the golden days.
They were. And Hammer, my question, and it's really more for the benefit of our audience listening and watching tonight, because people ask me this, and I honestly don't. I give them the best version of an answer I can, but I'll ask this of you in front of everybody. When people say, why is radio shriveling up and dying like on the side of the road? Like what happened to the radio industry? Like you said, it wasn't that long ago. We were all living like kings, and we had massive numbers and a massive audience. And now radio stations are closing left and right. They're having a hard time even staying on the air. And what are some of the reasons, Hammer, this is happening?
I think one of the main reasons is this little thing. You can't really see it here. This little thing in my hand. It's called the phone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the problem is now you only have X amount of hours where you have someone's free time. And instead, when they used to, need to listen to the radio to get the sports scores, the traffic, the weather, the news, now they get the news, the traffic, the weather, the sports, when they want it, how they want it to be delivered. And if they're, if they want a specific slant, they'll take this. They want a different way, they'll go that. What radio needs to do, and I was mentioning all along when I was still there, we have the content. Okay. It's just the distribution method of it is different. I mean, you guys doing this is basically the same thing. I see the same listeners on the right-hand side. It's the content. And our former boss used to say all the time, and we talked about it, content is king.
Yeah.
Okay. Content is what matters. And it's the fact you get the content, whether over the radio or you get it, on a podcast like this, how you get it. People they will gravitate to where the content is. Yeah. And that's what I think, some people in radio just don't get. It may not be coming through the speaker on the radio, but it is the content that's what matters.
Hey, Hammer, speaking of content, I was telling people before you came on about the content you used to deliver into my studio that may not be suitable for the show.
Well, we don't have there are no FCC regulations. This would be the time to let Hammer shine. Yeah.
If anybody viewing and listening if you ever run into Hammer, just ask him for a joke because he's got a pocket full of them ready at your disposal. And I also want to give some commenters here real quick. Yeah. Okay, so Hammer, Rob Winship right here. What's up, Rob? Can Hammer do his impression of Ralph?
I hope so. I want to hear that too.
I did not do very good impressions, so I'm not even going to try that.
Yeah.
I just know that I just know that how many times Ralph in the last couple of days or weeks he was there when he was late. Let's see, it was the car wasn't starting. The president was in town. The Blue Angels were flying. The gate wasn't going up. I got cut off in traffic. I got pulled. There was a litany. I actually thought about keeping a little chart and a little graph as to which ones he used. Yeah. But there were so many of them.
Yeah. Well, and then Paulie.
And that's go ahead, T. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say I want to show this one too from our buddy Dom. Lee, are you planning on stealing Kipe's opening day Kringles this year?
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually talked to Kipe. I talked to him the other day. We're trying to get together to go golfing.
Nice.
We're trying to find a day before he goes down to spring training to go golfing. But Kipe is doing great. They signed another contract, so Crook and Company will be back on the Giants broadcast. Kipe is one of a kind. He's the best. We have the best broadcasting foursome in the business. And
Hammers, Lee, you've worked with those guys a ton over the years. You were not only program director, but you were also the traveling engineer for Giants baseball. I mean, what was it like traveling with those guys?
It was unbelievable. The one, I spent I think 4 years doing that. I replaced. I was traveling with the Giants doing the road games, and at that time, Lee Jones was doing the home games.
Oh yeah,
and I remember I was in Florida following a game, and I called back into the station, and someone told me that there was an incident that took place at the station, and that some people had lost their jobs. And the people included Larry Krueger, good friend Larry Krueger, Bob Agnew, and some other guy named Tony something or other.
Oh, yeah.
And at that point,
right here, dude.
At that point, I was summoned back I had to call Lee Jones and say, "Hey, Lee J, I have to come back and run the station," because I was the assistant program director at the time. I'm coming back to run the station, and you have to go back on the road. And it was that way for the next, I think, 4 years until we switch things over. But those were great golden days. And what I think one of the best parts about the Giants broadcast, and forget the stories behind the scenes stuff with Kruk and Kipe and all that kind of stuff. But what I loved listening to the Giants broadcast was listening to the open minute and a half that Tony produced.
Those were good, Tony.
Those were some of the best things that Tony ever did. He didn't do many good things, but those he did good.
Not much, but that was an example of something. Actually, you know what, Hammer? You gave us a great assignment once. Tony, this was like a real passion project. It was the final year of Candlestick Park when they were going to move down to Levi's, and Hammer had this great idea. He goes, because he knows that Tony and I are monster 49er fans, and he said, listen, I know you guys love the team. You love Candlestick Park and all this history. I want you guys to do a special feature each week about great moments at Candlestick Park. And this is why Hammer was a great boss, because Hammer came in with the concept, and then he basically let us execute it as we saw fit. So we came up with like 16 of our favorite Candlestick moments. The obvious one, Dwight Clark, Steve Young hitting Terrell Owens, stuff like that. Joe Montana's last game against the Lions. But that was like a killer project. And I always wish that we had a copy of that. Like, because that's a Hammer. That's something I would listen to on my own time, because we put highlights in there. We would put popular songs of the day or movies of the day. Like, say we did a game from 1992, we would include like news clippings from 1992. It was so much fun. It was a great project. But just another example of Tony, when Hammer was there, like he was really involved with everything, with all of it. Like not only what was happening during the shows, but the production stuff you were doing. And I got to be honest, Hammer, I feel like after you left the station, all of that kind of passion kind of evaporated. Like it wasn't there anymore. And we never traveled. Hammer used to send us to Pebble Beach, spring training, to Super Bowls. We had all those Maui trips. And Hammer, you walked out the door, poof, that stuff went up in smoke.
Oh, how much do I have to pay you for all this kind of stuff?
Yeah, well,
I'll have to play this to my wife or Wanda so you can hear this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This is great stuff. But we had a lot of good times. I think one of my favorite times, talking about Paulie, about you and Murph. I go back to 2010, and we're in Arlington, Texas. I remember this story.
Oh boy,
Arlington, Texas. I'm about to leave the hotel.
To
go to, I think it was Game 5 of the World Series.
That's correct, Game 5. Yep.
And I get a call from the main media people for Major League Baseball, and they're saying, "Are you Lee Hammer? Are you the program director of KNBR?" I say yes, and they say, "Do you have two people that work for you named Brian Murphy and Paul McCaffrey?" And I say, "Yes, I do." And they say, "Well, they're about to be kicked out of Arlington Stadium." I go, "Excuse me." So
that was
Paulie. I mean, so I'm sitting here going, "Well, wait a second. What do you mean?" They go, "Well, Mr. Murphy is trying to stick his hand underneath the glass to grab his credentials. We're about to kick him out of the stadium." And I go, "Here, they're my morning team, and this is the World Series. They need credentials."
Yeah, no, that was a mess. That was, if I may use the liberties of no FCC regulations, Hammer, that was a shit show. So we go, so Tony, we show up. It's Game 5. This is the night the Giants wound up winning their first World Series as the San Francisco Giants. Timmy Lincecum's on the hill. You know what I mean? Like the excitement was unbelievable. And Murph and I went to pick up our credentials because that was our first game in Texas. We didn't get to Game 4. That was the first night. And we just had like immediate problems with the woman behind the window. Murph gets into it with this lady. And then Hammer, finally, we get our credentials and we walk out onto the field and like the players were coming up to us. Like, I remember Mike Morris and stuff was like, "Hey, are you guys okay? Is everything all right with you guys?" Larry Baer came over and he goes, "Hey, what happened? I heard you guys getting yelled at." It was really embarrassing, but it all worked out. We got to stay and we saw the Giants win their first World Series. But another example of Hammer knowing that, hey, these guys, the Giants are in the World Series. Murph and Mac need to be there. Or, the Niners are going to be in the Super Bowl in New Orleans. You guys need to be there. And that was I felt like once those trips went away, Hammer, I felt like we lost a lot of our prestige because we were no longer at the big events. Like we were just back in the studio. It was never the same.
Again, it may be particles, Paulie, but I was thinking of you not only this morning when I was at Harding Park, I was thinking of you yesterday because this week is the AT&T at Pebble Beach.
That's right.
Our great friend Steve John is the tournament director.
Oh yeah.
And after the Farmers tournament was over on Sunday, I texted Steve and I said, "Farmers is done. Now the ball's in your court. They're all moving to Pebble." And he invited me down. He said, "I got tickets and parking if you want to come down."
Yeah.
And I said to him, "Is KNBR coming down this year?"
I mean, like, what?
Those were when Jim Nance would come by. Ray Romano would come by. All the great people would come by. They would make it a stop. I mean, after we had Mitch and John were down there on Saturday and Sunday. The winner
remember.
would come by with Jim Nance. I mean, those
Yeah.
were
I know.
those were the days.
I know.
Those
We
were
had
just-
Bill.
Hey,
We had Bill Murray. We had Tony Romo. We had George Lopez. I mean, I could go on all day, and it was some of the best radio I think we got to do because we got to interact with these celebrities we wouldn't normally have access to. And I always felt like, Hammer, it sucked for us, but I always felt bad for the audience because it was like we took that away from our audience. Like, no more Pebble Beach for you, and that was really frustrating. I know you have something to say, Tony. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, Hammer, I don't know if you know this, but I believe, Paulie, correct me if I'm wrong, a couple things. Jim Nance has a Murph and Mac bobblehead on his mantle at his home in Pebble Beach. Is that correct, Paulie?
It's a true story. It's a true story. Hammer.
This is
I'll tell this Jim Nance story, and then we can get ready to wrap because I don't want to keep Lee too long tonight. But when
it's past my bedtime, I'm fine.
I know, right? Yeah. So Murph and I were down at Pebble one year. This might have been 2015, 2016, something like that. Jim Nance comes driving up, Tony, in his custom golf cart. Okay. It's like a Rolls Royce. It's like, I'm not kidding. And he's got like a custom built sound system in the golf cart. So he's like, guys, hop in my golf cart. I want to show you my home. And so like now we're in Jim Nance's golf cart, dude. He's crossing the freeway over to the Jim Nance estate. And he drove us up to his home. He showed us his wine cellar, gave us a tour. There was a construction crew going on. They were building like some big addition. And Jim Nance, like the most relaxed guys in the world. He's like, yeah, that's my wine cellar. And these are my kids. And yeah, this is my trophy room. So we go into his office and we gifted him a Murph and Mac bobblehead. He starts moving stuff out of the way. He's like, let me move this Ronald Reagan photo out of the way here, but let me put this one right next to the George Bush. So he's moving like presidential photos out of the way, and he puts the Murph and Mac bobblehead on his shelf in his office. That was like, I mean, what a highlight, what a thrill that was. And Jim Nance, I mean, that relationship, Hammer, what a great guy, and what like an unlikely pairing, but turned out we all got along swimmingly.
Well, it was after one of the tournaments. I forgot what year it was. And I was there on Sunday, and Jim came by and was on with Mitch and John. And I was chatting with them. And he said, hey, Lee, I'd love to, come on KNBR. I was a huge KNBR fan, as you all know.
Yeah.
I'd love to come on. So fast forward, a couple days. This is when Thursday Night Football was just beginning, I believe it was. And Jim was doing Thursday Night Football. And was it Thursday? I think it was Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
And so I worked out the deal with his agent. I believe it was 5 or 6 o'clock on Wednesday night. And I said, okay, it's too late now. Jim's got a game tomorrow. We'll start next week.
Cool.
20 minutes later, Jim calls me and says, why don't we start tomorrow morning?
Ah,
I'm thinking, Jim, he's a stud. Jim is the best. To hear his voice and to hear him do this is just the best. So he was, great radio having him on with you guys when he would leave Augusta and call you guys.
Oh my God.
Leaving Augusta and the stories he told.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was as good as it got. Go ahead, Tone. Yeah.
Hammer, I feel like you could write a memoir, like a really interesting book about all of the personalities you've had to manage, that you've worked and collaborated with. I mean, there's been triumphs, there's been dust-ups, there's been, like you said, you got that call about myself and Larry Krueger and Bob Agnew back in 2005,
with the great Tony Salvador quote, after all that stuff went down, Tony Salvador goes, this is the darkest day in the history of KNBR. And it really was, by the way. But that line always stayed in my head. This is the darkest day. Yeah.
You were talking about Tony. When I first joined you guys early on, like 5 minutes before, you were talking about sayings or slogans or something like that or whatever. But you forgot, you may have mentioned it, but the main one that our former boss, our leader, would say all the time, and I wrote it down. It was, he started if he was really pissed at you, he would say, to cover himself, he would say, with all due respect.
Dude,
with all due respect. Once you say with all due respect, anything that follows it is you're just in trouble.
And I always thought that was like,
with all due respect, you're cleared.
Yeah,
but he was the best.
Oh, and I always remember like when Tony would say, would he call you into his office, that big, beautiful office overlooking the San Francisco Bay and downtown. And he would tell this when I would get nervous. He'd go, Paulie, close the door, sit down. That's what he would say. I heard that a few times. Close the door, sit down. And then one time I was in trouble for one of my many indiscretions. And he said, Paulie Mac, do you know why you're here? I said, yeah, I do, Tony. I do. Anyway, we don't have to get into that one. But so I wanted to ask you also, Lee, because we were talking about this on the way in. Did you, because Tony's right, Lee Hammer has crossed paths with some of the most legendary figures in sports and politics and on and on. Did you know Bob Uecker at all, Hammer? Did you cross paths with Uecker?
When I traveled with the Giants, it was a great story. I did meet him a couple times.
Nice.
And there was one time we were in Milwaukee, true story, that the radio booth, was like 2 doors away from us. And it was during one of the inning breaks, Bob Uecker decides he needs to go get something to drink.
Right.
And at that point, Uecker was the only guy in the radio booth. So he walks out of the radio booth and the door locks behind him.
Oh, jeez. Nice. Okay.
Oh,
so visualize this. The door locks behind him. Now he's trying to get back in the radio booth, but he can't because the door is locked. True story. I'm sure there are pictures of it somewhere.
Yeah.
Security, visualizes at AT&T Park. Security got a ladder, and they put a ladder in the front of the radio booth.
Wow.
And Bob Uecker was climbing up the ladder and going over the desk into the front of the radio booth.
Wow.
Swear to God. There's got to be pictures of it somewhere. It was 2004, 2005, somewhere. It was also the same time where Jerome Williams was pitching for the Giants. Remember Jerome Williams?
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
With the puka necklace.
Yeah.
John Miller was doing the game, and he kept, as John would do, with his adios pelota or whatever, he was dropping in some Hawaiian phrases throughout the broadcast.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know what he was really saying. So I recorded some of the phrases.
Yeah.
And I saw Jerome like the next day before the game. And I just went up to him and I said, so I just want to play you some of John's phrases. What exactly is he saying? Jerome listened to him and he goes, I don't know. That's not Hawaiian.
Nice. Oh, that's classic. I'm glad you told me that. That's because I remember that. I remember all that John Miller Hawaiian stuff. Hammer, another question for you, because I know my Lee Hammer trivia, Tony, and I know for a fact that Hammer was in the locker room after Super Bowl 16 when the Niners won their first Super Bowl. Now on the calendar today actually marks the 30th anniversary of the Niners' last Super Bowl, which is painful to say. That was 30 years ago. But that was that was a day Steve Young won his ring. But Hammer, my question is, and we can wrap after this, but do you have a moment or two, like give me a couple of your moments where you were witnessing any sporting event, Warriors, Giants, Niners, whatever it might be, in person that were just unforgettable or monumental? Like give me a couple of your biggest moments that you got to witness in person.
Well, I mean, nothing can beat, sitting in Arlington Stadium watching, the Giants win the World Series. Okay. I mean, that morning, my wife and I went to the grocery store across the street for her to get her coffee. And we're sitting there with Kruk and Kite, Miller and Flem, and we're sitting there having coffee. And here comes Brian Wilson on his scooter with a backpack. Okay. And he gets his coffee. And fast forward 12 hours later, he's pitching the final out of the Giants World Series win. Unbelievable. So
that's wild.
Yes, I was in Detroit. And so you see this dome right here?
I do.
43 years in the making, because in that first Super Bowl, I had a press pass and I was working for a different radio station at the time.
Yeah.
But I got into the 49ers locker room. I walked behind the CBS banner. Okay. Brent Musburger is there interviewing Bill Walsh. I went behind the banner and I kind of cheesed to the camera a little bit. I'm so embarrassed. I kind of cheesed the camera, but then I bent over and I put my microphone down so I could get some audio of what they were saying.
Yeah.
I didn't know it until I got home, when people, we didn't have text back then, you just have to talk to people face to face.
Yeah.
People said, hey, I noticed you're starting to lose your hair. I go, what are you talking about? There was a dot. It was about this big, on the back here of me losing my hair. Now, I have the VHS tape here in my office, okay?
Nice.
VHS tape. The problem is I don't have a VHS player.
Nobody does.
Anybody here on the right-hand side of this screen knows of anyone that has a VHS player, because I want to be able to play it so I can take a picture of it, because everyone says, when did you first start losing your hair? And that's when I first noticed it. 43 years ago, I had thick black hair. Guys.
I've seen the pictures. Yeah.
I have too. It was thick and it was black. And now I got like hardly anything.
Yeah, but
That's when I first noticed it. So I need someone to write in, to text you guys or email somehow.
Here it comes.
Have,
we already got 2 responses.
I just want to, for you guys, I just want to borrow one for a day or two. And I'm at Harding Park. I can meet you at Harding Park. I can plug it in. I just want to play it and borrow it for a day or two just so I can get that picture.
Hey, I'll tell you what we'll do, Hammer. Tomorrow night, because we have several people now lining up 49er Red Zone. I have 3. What do you want, Panasonic or Sony?
And the cleaner and the rewinder.
Wow.
Red Zone.
Okay.
Rewind.
Well, seriously.
Maybe they can drop it off at Blockbuster. I can pick them up over there.
Hey,
dude.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. If anybody out here tonight can help Lee Hammer, just text us or hit us up on the comment line tomorrow, and I'll relay the information to Hammer so you guys can meet over at Harding. That's a great idea, and I think these people are going to hook you up, Hammer. And on that note, Lee, thanks so much for giving us a few minutes tonight. Great to see you, man.
I do want to make one apology, first of all, though. So thanks for having me on. I guess, 16 shows in, you probably hit the bottom of the barrel with guests. So that's why
we had you circled, buddy. Yeah.
The problem is when I went to the podcast thing on Apple, I looked at the link. You guys have a perfect 5 stars. Okay. 5 stars. There's not one negative. And I think, I'm going to screw this up. There's going to be some ones in there, and you're going to go back to this show and say, damn it. Why did we get that guy on?
Hey, man, if anything, we're going to bump up to 6 stars now that we had Lee Hammer on. So I just want to say thanks, Hammer. We love you, man. It's great to see you. Please tell Wanda that we both say hello. Give her a big hug for me. Yes. Wanda's the greatest. Yeah.
I will. Hey, Tony, you know the amazing thing about this whole thing?
Yeah.
He's following a clock. He knows.
I know. How did that happen?
In his entire career at the station, he never knew when to take a break. And now look at him. Now he's running the show. It's his podcast. He's like, oh, wait, we got to wrap things up here. I tried for how many years to get him to take a break on time. He never could. Now it's his thing. Oh, we got to go. Lee, we got to go.
I'm guilty. Guilty is charged. 100% guilty is charged.
That is a mic drop right there, man. That is incredible.
Love you guys. You guys are the best. I'm glad you're doing this. The comments are great. Again, it's content. You guys provide the content. We'll have to get together for lunch. We'll invite David Drutz. I texted with him today. David's one of the greatest guys. Yeah. Let's stay in touch. And if you're ever at the bottom of the barrel and you need someone else again, I could probably just call my agent and everything will be fine.
We will, Hammer. We'll be in touch. Right. And thanks again. Thank you.
Yes, take care. More Hammer time.
Thanks, See you, Hammer. Be good. That was, I got to tell you, a round of applause for Lee Hammer on the way out. Tony and I decided today we're having lunch, and I was like, you know what? It's Hammer time, Tony. It's Hammer time. Circle that S and get him on the show, and you did, and he was great. It was just great to see his face. Great to see Hammer's mug.
I can't be a bigger fan of Hammer. Like I said, man, in 2009, he brought me back as the creative director. I owe so much to him, and also it's just a humble dude. He's like, what do you want me for? What do you want me to come on for? I'm like, are you kidding me? You've got stories up the wazoo. And I mean, at the very least, we could talk you being in the Super Bowl locker room, but think about all the stories he could tell. And I mean, there's a lot of things he's probably not at liberty to say too, that like stay kind of behind closed doors. But if you had like a Lee Hammer unfiltered, or Lee Hammer like I don't know what like some kind of thing where it's like unleashed, or like John Lund has this unleashed thing, like where Lee could just speak freely. It would be some really interesting stuff. And don't sleep on Hammer's golf game, by the way, dude. You want to talk about a badass on the golf course, man. And he's so calm, and he's got this short swing, and he drops these bombs down the middle of the fairway. I'm like, I'm giving him double guns because I can't hit the ball straight to save my life.
Murph used to say that too. Murph used to say that about Hammer. He's like, dude, Hammer's a freaking assassin out there. He's a freaking ninja. He'll cut your throat. You think he's all fun and games. Next thing you know, you're down 3 strokes. You know what I mean? So
and he does it with a smile. He's like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, Neil Denardi, a Lee Hammer tells all. Exactly, Neil Denardi.
Dude, I'd buy that book. I'd buy. Right. By the way, if I did, I want the audio version so I can have Hammer read it to me. Let's see. May 22nd, 1997. Paulie Mac walks into my office. You know what I mean? Chapter 1. I want to read the book, Hammer. I'll write the forward for you. Actually, I do.
Hey, kid, a couple things really quick, Paulie. First of all, Dub's playing some good ball right now, dude. It's 79.
That's the thing.
They just took the lead. They just took the lead. 2 minutes to go in the third.
That's why I want to dismiss the class. I want everybody to get back to the game. Yeah.
Class dismissed. But hang on a second. I wanted to tell the story real quick of the prank that we played around people around the radio station years ago when we took Lee Hammer voicemails. Lee Hammer left me a bunch of voicemails on my extension at work. This is a long time ago. And I said, Paulie and I came up with the idea of like cutting up these voicemails into sound bites and then prank calling people with Lee Hammer sound bites. And my favorite one, and I like the sound bites were like, "Hey, it's Lee," or "Hey, it's Lee. See me before you go." Thanks, bye. Like just or don't forget to listen to SaberCats football. Exciting SaberCats football.
Right? Exciting SaberCats football. That's right.
So we call
people around the office. I call like Grace Kim or something. Grace Kim answers the phone. Hello. Don't forget to listen to exciting SaberCats football. She'd be like, what? Is this Lee?
What are you talking about? But the best one is one of our, as you saw, Rod Brooks.
Hey, man. We were spreading our creative wings. We were just learning how to flap them a little bit when we were doing that stuff. But those are fun. We had so much fun, and we've been through a lot with Hammer. We went through like the entire arc of our careers really with that man. So
real quick, Paulie, I have to wrap this up. I just want to put a bow on the story. Calling Rod Brooks was the phone call. My favorite prank is when we called Rod and we're like, and Rod's like, "Hey, what's up, Lee?" And Lee's like, "Hey, it's Lee." And Rod's like, "Yeah, I know." And then "Hey, it's Lee." And Rod's like, "What's up, man? What do you want?" And then Rod, then we played the soundbite, "See me before you go." And then Rod goes, "See you." It's about what? And "See me before you go." And then Rod goes, "How about this? Why don't you come see me before I go?" And it was the freaking best. And we recorded these, and it was the best. Anyway,
and little did Brooksy know, he was yelling it like a voicemail. He didn't even you know what I mean? Like there's nobody there. Oh, it was insane. Creative Tony, tonight was a really fun show, man. I had a really good time tonight. And I credit Lee Hammer. Those were the vibes of Lee Hammer, man. And we'll continue to do this. I want to let the audience know. I teased this a few nights ago. I mentioned this like 80s metal guy, this 80s metal rocker that I've been talking, and I'm still talking to him. We were in touch again today. I'm trying to make this happen. I don't want to throw the name out there yet because if I miss and I don't get him, I don't want people to be bummed out. But I'm just letting the audience know I'm still working on it. Sounds like we're getting closer, Tony. Yes. This guy has not said no. In fact, we made progress today. He said, "Send me your schedule." I'm like, dude, here it is. So hopefully next week. And as we get closer to the Super Bowl, Tony, I want to have some football voices on, and we'll get into that next week. It won't just be like our former coworkers. We're going to get some real guests on. And I want to say one last thing.
Yes.
Did you see our old colleague, Mikey V? He was on the comments line tonight, checking in and saying hi to Lee Hammer too. So it's kind of like a family reunion tonight, man. Great vibes out here, T.
I love Mikey V, going way back, but also, Paulie, there is news. David Lee Roth is headlining a music festival at Merriweather Post, I think, later on this year. And
do you know when this is?
Part of that lineup, Paulie, is Stephen Piercy of Rat rejoining forces with Warren DeMartini.
I smell a road trip. I smell a road trip. Is it a tour or is it a one-off?
It's It's like a festival. It's like a one-off festival.
What does Polymac Particles need to be on the scene covering the footage? I mean, this has got us written all over it, dude.
Right.
Diamond Dave and the Rat guys, dude.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
You don't have to twist my arm. Tell me when you want to go. I'll be there.
We can work it out, dude. We can work it out, man.
I don't even know who I'd be more excited for, Diamond Dave or the Rat guys. Either one, it's a win. You know,
or if they happen to maybe collaborate and do something together.
Oh, dude, Round and Round with Diamond Dave or something like that. Yeah,
come on. That's I saw that today and I thought of you and I said we got to talk about that before the show's over. Tomorrow we're on at 2:00. By the way, just want to let everybody know 2:00 tomorrow.
Thank you. And as we wrap up tonight, thank you, T. That's incredible news. That just made the good vibes of tonight skyrocket even higher. Piercy, DeMartini, Roth. You know what I mean? Roth. Who are your favorite singers, Paulie Mac? Oh, I like Frank Sinatra. I like I always thought Paul Simon was a really good vocalist. I like Stephen Piercy, guys like that. Anyway, Creative Tony, Longbridge Pizza. Yeah.
Look at Dub City. Paulie does a mean Diamond Dave impression, dude. I don't want to put you on the spot, Paulie.
You're going to put me on the spot. It's got to come naturally. Yeah, now I'm on the spot.
Maybe work on it tomorrow. Give us a Diamond Dave tomorrow.
What if I talk about Longbridge Pizza in the David Lee Roth voice.
Bring it, dude. Bring it. And by the way,
I want to talk about my friends at LongbridgePizza.com right here for a little bit. No, I don't want to do this. I don't want to bum those guys out. He might not like David Lee. I don't know, so I don't want to bum anybody out.
Oh, I'm sure Neil's got plenty of love. I'm sure the dudes and the people at Longbridge Pizza have plenty of love for Diamond Dave and the Van Halen catalog for sure.
Yeah, well, I know I have a unlimited amount of love. Try the chopped cheese sandwich over at Longbridge Pizza. And I do recommend you try the chopped cheese. Try the Nico pizza too. Try this off the menu stuff, the secret menu. Tony, some of the items on the secret menu for our friends. Tell them what they can get.
Dude, well, also Tuesdays are burger Tuesdays. Wednesdays are sandwich Wednesdays with the chicken parm sandwich on there. We also had some of the Vinny's Gabagool today.
Oh, that's right, dude. Thank you. I forgot about Vinny's Gabagool.
Yeah,
Jesus, Vinny's Gabagool is no joke now. He's no joke. He's not skimping on the gabagool. He comes out, it's stacked up like 6 inches high on that
this
sandwich.
Place is no joke. And like,
no, it's not.
Talking to Neil, the guy who runs Longbridge Pizza, and he's talking to us about how he's not just making pizza. He calls himself a pizza chef. And I'm like, dude, it shows, man, in these creative menu items like Vinny's Gabagool, dude. Go in there and get Vinny's Gabagool. Or they have the smash burger, the smack stack. They got the chopped cheese, which is on the secret menu. I mean, dude, it's just, and again, I got to stress the beer selection. Just me personally, Paulie, because I love, when I walk into a place and I see certain taps available, I'm like, oh, I'm sticking around. I'm sticking around. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's just the beer. The pizza's fantastic too, man. And again, DC, our friend DC asked earlier, he asked for the time it takes from Caltrain 22nd Street. Can you see that, Paulie?
I do. 7 minutes and 3 seconds. Yeah.
I timed it today. I took Caltrain up for lunch with Paulie at Longbridge Pizza, and it took me 7 minutes and 3 seconds to walk from the train station to Longbridge. It's a wonderful walk. And then if you want to keep going to Chase Center, it's another 7 minutes. You're fine.
Yeah, no, you're fine. It's good for you. Get out there and get that heart pump, and then you get over to Longbridge Pizza, and then you can thank me later. Try the chicken parmesan sandwich. And all kidding aside, Neil Donardi, the guy who runs the place, he really is all about the overall experience. So the food is killer. Everybody that works in there is super friendly and nice, and they're going to treat you like family. And then the final thing I would say, you're getting the laid back vibe, you're getting the serious pizza, you join what Neil likes to call the Vibe Tribe, and then you get the greatest playlist known to mankind while you're whacking down your pizza. I got today I heard like a 12-minute version of Lay Down Sally by the Jerry Garcia band while I was eating pizza. That's like my sweet spot, man. You got Garcia playing, and I got a pizza out of the oven in front of me. That's about as good as life gets for me. And I think you'll agree. So stop by Longbridge Pizza. Check them out online at longbridgepizza.com, y'all.
Last thing, Paulie, on our way out, and again, we're 2:00 tomorrow. Please join us. Then we're at high noon on Friday. Please join us there as well. And speaking of Spotify, where you can find our podcast, the audio version of this show, just search at Polymax Particles. You can also find the playlists that you can hear at Longbridge Pizza from our friend Steven at Longbridge Pizza. If you search LXBXPXCX, that's one of the playlists. LXBXPX, LXBXPXCX, right?
Nice.
And then or El Puente Largo. We'll also post this stuff too, on our different socials as well. And one last thing for Lee Hammer.
Yeah.
Paulie'sPod@gmail.com. If any of you want to email us to help Hammer out, getting that footage taken care of. If you want to help him out, Paulie'sPod@gmail.com. We'll Dom Peralta and Dub City have sent us stuff already. Anybody's welcome to send us stuff.
Hey, Tony, this is like the 10th time I've said this, but last thing for tonight. Last thing. My boy Ryan Frank, who I don't think I've shouted out yet. So, Ryan Frank, thanks for being on the show tonight. He's vouching. He goes, that Vinny's Gabagool sandwich is no joke. And then he goes, you got to let the oil soak for a bit. The second half of the sandwich is the best. It's funny he says that because that's exactly what Neil told us. He goes, this thing ages well, man. This thing is like a fine wine. He goes, let this thing settle in. Let the meats and the dressing kind of settle in. Then you want to get after Vinny's Gabagool. But Ryan Frank, that's great knowledge, great Longbridge Pizza knowledge. Creative Tony had a great time tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and hanging out with us, man. G-Man Music, I'm ready for a slice too, and I'm not kidding. As soon as I end this show and turn the mic off, I'm going downstairs and I'm throwing a slice right in the oven from Longbridge because I still got some of that Nico pizza left, Tony, and I'm not letting it go to waste. So let's get back to the Warrior game. Pizza. Yeah, the Nico pizza.
Let's give an update. No, I'm saying the Nico pizza was amazing. I'm saying an update from the Polymac Particles PMP Sports Desk. It's tied at 84 at the end of the third quarter. So come on, Dubs. Can you come on? Give us a solid fourth quarter, man. If they were to actually go in, I mean, and beat OKC, who only has 7 losses on the year, 8 losses on the year.
Yeah.
That would be huge. That'd be huge. So
hey, man,
let's take this party over to the Dubs train and watch the fourth quarter of the Dubs and OKC.
All right, you guys, great. Tony, could have said it better myself, so thank you very much. And thank you guys, everybody. Seriously, kidding aside, we are so thrilled that you guys are on board and digging the show and hanging out and sending comments. And we're going to do it again tomorrow at 2 p.m. So until then, go Dubs, go Creative Tony, go Longbridge Pizza. Thank you, Lee Hammer, and peace, y'all. See you tomorrow at 2.